common questions that we ask in coaching is that true? We've discovered that as human beings, sometimes we don't know the difference between what we say about something and what actually happened. So I'm going to go over a particular model that we like to call story versus reality. Or another way of saying that is your interpretation versus what happened. What I want you to think about first is, what other words are synonymous with story? When you think of the word story, what other words are synonymous? How about beliefs? What else belongs in this model? Maybe it would be opinions. And I did say the word interpretation, right? So before we move on with this model, let's talk a little bit about reality. Actually, in my experience, most of us don't live here. We live over here in our stories. And that's our point of view. I'm going to call that point of view, okay? We live from our point of view, rarely checking in with what's real. So what belongs here in the reality circle? How about facts? Not facts as you determined them, but facts like, this is the floor, that's the ceiling, this is a jacket. What else belongs here? Time and space. So I'm saying what's real is what occurs in time and space. I'm also going to say right now. What other words might we think of when we think of reality? Time and space. Facts. Now. Any ideas? Another way to think of reality is physicality. All of these can be measured, yes? And did I say what happened earlier? I'm going to add another word. Results. One of the reasons that we're so interested in what's true, what actually happened, what the reality of it is because when people can move out of their opinions, their beliefs, and their stories, they can actually get access to gaining some real results for themselves, sometimes in areas where they haven't been able to get results in the past. So I'm also going to use the word action. And presence. So when I use the word action, I have a specific word, meaning for that word, meaning that you're doing something consciously in the moment that's aligned with what it is you say you want to create. A lot of us do things. We do things. You know, we're in our story, I should do, I could do, I must do. So let's put should here. What else belongs over here? Try on judgment. Your mother calls and she asks if you're dating. And yet it's another conversation in which your mother has called to harass you about not being married. You might even stop listening and head straight over into story. My mother doesn't love me. My mother thinks there's something wrong with me. My mother wants to fix me. Oh God, it's my mother again. In that example, it'd be easy to add the word judgment. So your point of view, your judgment, your interpretations, your opinions, what you think should be, all the stories you tell yourself about everything that's happened, everything that is, the way that the world is, the way men are, the way women are, the way business is, the way you think your industry is. All of that is story. All of that story. There's the way that it is, and then there's what you say about it. Now the issue is not that this is the human dynamic. This is what your mind is going to do. That's not the issue. The issue is most of us have these two circles collapsed. We don't know the difference between what's real and what's true and our stories. So in other words, we say things like, he's a jerk, rather than someone says something to you and your interpretation is jerk. Because we have the circles collapsed, we get very stuck and fixated in being right about our beliefs and our stories, don't we? Our opinions, our point of view. So we could add both right and wrong here. We could have both right and wrong here. We get very righteous about our stories. This is the way it is. What if you got curious? What if you started to question what you believe? After all, don't your beliefs change? Do you believe what you believed 10 years ago? No. Have your opinions changed? I mean, several of my opinions have changed just in the last few years on certain topics. So are they really true? What do you get out of being so right about your point of view? What does that get you? It gets you stuck. It gets you stuck right here. So in coaching and in some of our training programs, we work very deliberately in helping you separate the difference between what's actually occurring, what has happened, the facts, the numbers, what's happening right now in physicality versus the way that you say it is. I invite all of you to play with being curious instead of being so fixated on what you think you already know. Curiosity will always lead you back over here.